10 seconds, 5 seconds.
Start. The stamp of a university, as shown by the conferment of a degree, must connote high intellectual and moral attainment. The democratic system, whether at the national, state, or university level, must not encourage any debasement of our academic currency, for the country can just get on with the best and will certainly go down with the second or third best. These remarks have been made as a warning against the trend occasionally observed in some quarters to cheapen our degrees and distinctions and grant them on considerations other than those of pure merit and attainment. By all means, give every possible assistance to everybody to realize his highest capabilities, but for heaven's sake, do not allow communal, sectional, provincial, linguistic, or personal considerations to have any weight in the academic world. There has recently been some change of emphasis on the objects of university education. At first, while the spreader of higher learning and new contribution to knowledge were both formally regarded as the fundamental aims of a university, in India at least, far greater emphasis was laid on the first, and the universities were in the beginning only examining and degree conferring bodies. They had no teaching sites of their own, and what little research was done was carried on by individual teachers acting on their own initiative. It was only by the Act of 1904 that the universities obtained the power of having their own teaching departments, and some of them did make a small beginning in this direction, the University of Calcutta being the most notable in respect. More recently, several unitary and teaching universities have been established, and greater emphasis is being laid on research, and the prestige of the university has begun to depend mainly on its fresh contributions to knowledge. This has led to greater and greater specialization in the courses laid down for degree examinations, especially in the work of postgraduate and research degrees. The bounds of knowledge are nowadays being so rapidly enlarged that specialization has become almost inevitable. But foreseeing educationalists and statesmen are becoming to realize the danger of too much specialization. If the aim of the universities is to turn out all round educated men who can give a good account of themselves in any position of responsibility, specialization should be accompanied by a wider outlook in varied human activities. This question of general education is at present engaging the attention of American and European universities, and Indians will be well advised to consider the matter carefully. As a matter of fact, with us, it is even more pressing for the social surroundings in which an Indian university student moves does not provide adequate opportunities for getting any knowledge of subjects which he does not study in his class. The howlers made by candidates in competitive examinations for the higher services evidently show that there is a great lacuna in our educational system. How that lacuna is to be filled is a question for the university authorities. In olden days, officers in the ICS who were generally educated at Oxford or Cambridge in a usual academic subjects were often detailed for work in departments quite unconnected with their former studies and were generally able to carry out their new duties with credit. Can be same said with equal truth about the present Indian members of our superior services. It is true that our governmental activities now are far more varied and specialized, but that is all the greater reason for educating all the intellectual facilities for our young men and not merely one or two specialized ones. In our country, the question of languages gives rise to greater heat than almost any other question. There is fairly general agreement on some fundamental principles that the best and most natural medium of instruction, at least in the earlier stages, is the mother tongue of the pupil, that all highly educated men and women must also be reasonably at home with the national language, Hindi, and the only practicable international language, English, and that most of the Indian languages, regional as well as Hindi, are not yet sufficiently advanced for fully meeting the needs of higher education and much less of research in almost all branches of study. This brings the general consensus. The dispute at present is only about the pace of our progress. It may be said that the opinion of most prominent educationalists is all over India on the whole in favor of well considered, if occasionally slow, steps, while popular opinion, based perhaps more on sentimental grounds than on practical and purely educational considerations, wants to make all the desired changes immediately and at one stroke. There is little doubt about the change of medium to the regional languages will make success in examinations easier, but many of the afraid that the standards will become even lower than at present with such a sudden change. It is necessary that the universities should chalk out a well considered program to make this change when it comes free from any undesirable consequences. A courageous and extensive plan for the preparation and publication of books and other literature in regional languages and Hindi must be immediately undertaken. Very large amounts will have to be placed at the disposal of universities for this purpose. Indiscipline among students is said to be growing, and many universities are getting anxious about it. I do not think that the blame lies entirely with the students. It is partially a reaction from the excitement of our recent national struggle, partially a result of our political leaders' encouragement to our students to give up their studies and take part in public demonstrations, and partially a consequence of the fact that many teachers have come to regard their work more as a means of livelihood than as kind of crass mission. Stop.